Very peaceful, isn't it? So we're in these forests of Sweden, up in the north of Sweden, and beautiful, isn't it? And I thought I'd do a bit of filming here because this is where the moose and the reindeer come through, and this is where they live and what sort of things they eat. And of course myself and my wife have been eating quite a bit of moose and reindeer meat whilst we're here in Sweden. Quite easy to get hold of, and you can start to understand when you look around you at what the moose and the reindeer are eating, why moose and reindeer meat is incredibly healthy. So my wife is probably showing you some of the lichen on the trees that the moose and the reindeer like to eat. You can see it kind of hangs down off the trees a bit like beards, and that's why they call it beard lichen in Sweden. And in fact this lichen here that's hanging off the trees is what they use to make certain D vitamin supplements. Yeah, so super healthy stuff. And of course they like to eat mushrooms, they like to eat a lot of the different plants that grow in sort of the more watery pools. Quite possibly the leaves of the lingonberries and blueberries possibly, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure they probably do eat some lingonberries and blueberries as well, but this is the stuff they prefer to eat. And you can imagine all of the nutrients that go into their bodies and what they eat. If my wife films upwards, no chemtrails here. And being in the middle of the forest, and there's very, very little farmland around, unless you consider the woods themselves to be farmland, because they do fairly often cut down the trees here. That's the main industry in the north of Sweden, but very, very few fields. Most of the fields of farmers here are for animals, because you can't really grow a lot of crops in the north of Sweden. It's a very short summer. They do grow some, but not much. So yeah, very pristine. You're not going to get any pesticides, herbicides, fungicides. You're not getting the chemicals from the chemtrails. You're not getting runoff from farmers' fields here. It's top quality food that they're eating, and therefore the meat is going to be top quality too. And of course, because the meat we're eating is from animals, from nature, space isn't being cleared in the forests here to make fields, unlike cattle and sheep in other countries. So you're not ruining an ecosystem when you're eating meat from the wild. So yeah, very healthy stuff, very good stuff to eat for health and for not destroying nature. So here we have a close-up of some of the beard lichen I was talking about earlier. So you can see how it hangs down. It looks a bit like a goatee beard. How's it pronounced in Swedish?
Skägglav.
Skägglav, so literally translating as beard lichen. So yeah, and this stuff only grows in areas where the air is clean enough. So you won't find much of this close to cities or industrial areas or near roads, but out here, further in the wild, it grows quite nicely. And yeah, this is the favourite food of reindeer and moose. Just thought you might like to have a closer look. So just thought I'd show you some of the landscape. Sometimes in the north of Sweden there's so many trees you don't actually get to see much of a view, so thought thought we'd show you the landscape of the north of Sweden here. There's not much snow on top of the trees at the moment because it's been a little bit warmer recently. Yeah, as you can see, the north of Sweden, as far as the eye can see, is just trees, trees, trees. And you can see a few buildings down there next to the road there, next to the river. But yeah, there's not many people who live in the north of Sweden compared to the south. It's very sparsely populated up here. Yeah, just to give you an idea of the landscape of Sweden. My wife wanted me to mention about the snowshoes we're wearing, just to make it easier to walk in the snow today. I must admit, they're pretty good, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it definitely makes the feet wider and easier to not fall through the snow. I'm not walking much whilst we're filming because they're quite noisy when you walk. You can probably hear. So here we have a rest place. It's really common in Sweden for there to be wooden huts like this dotted on the trails, and typically they would have a fireplace. This one doesn't have one for some reason, but most of them that I come across have a little fireplace for you to cook food. And yeah, one thing I didn't mention earlier was in Sweden you've got a right to walk the land. So different to the rights of way in the UK, here in Sweden, you know, you can walk wherever you want really, as long as it's not fenced off and owned by the military or something like that. And you're allowed to eat the berries that you pick. And you're allowed to camp where you want, that kind of thing. So yeah, beautiful landscape. So here we are, a bit lower on the trail, so we've come down from the ridge there, and now we're much lower down. Nice little stream running through here, and these are sort of wetter lands. When the snow melts, this is a marshier land, which means that it's quite a good place to look for cloudberries, or neutron, as they say in Sweden. They call it the gold of the forest because it's kind of got a golden orange colour to them, and they're super nutritious, super tasty, and because you only really find them in marshier areas. You know, they're much harder to find than blueberries and lingonberries, which would cover the rest of the forest floor as far as the eyes can see in the summer and late summer, respectively. So yeah, a lot of Swedes don't really like to say where to find neutron or cloudberries. Yeah, they're a much more expensive berry to buy if you have to buy them in a shop. So obviously we like to keep them a bit secret if they know where to find cloudberries. Yeah, maybe if we come back in the summer we'll do a video of us picking. You can see some of that, what I talk about, on Instagram, on my Instagram channel. I've taken lots of pictures and put things on Instagram, quite a bit there. So if you want more of an explanation of that, look at that.